Today's broadcast is coming to you courtesy of the Arpin Group. Arpin, creating customers for life. Rhode Island College, reach, inspire, and connect. WB Mason for all of your office supplies. Cardi's Furniture and Colonial Printing for all of your sustainable printing needs.
Great story, a tremendous mecca there in Oregon. What drives your passion? What has always driven your passion for sustainability and investments in kind of this new green economy?
Well, actually, the new green economy has a lot of the old essentials. These are things in terms of our grandparents would have recognized in terms of giving people transportation choices, having opportunities for having human scale development, more housing choices. These are really, in many respects, traditional values. We're going back to the future with streetcars, with work in terms of farmers markets, being able to give people more choice, giving people more choices. And I'm a fan. It works, and we've seen it in our community, and we want to build on it and share it with others.
And you jump in anytime. One question, though, for me is, what are you most proud of? Is there a single achievement accomplished there in Oregon over the last, let's say, 20 years? And again, we've done a lot of shows there. We've had a lot of guests. There's been elements of education, changes in transportation, agriculture, energy. What stands out for you?
What for me is most important is linking transportation and land use to be able to get the most out of both. More housing choices, being able to protect values, being able to give people opportunities to move on foot, bike, streetcar, light rail, as well as drive if they want. But tying those pieces together to create more value, drive more investment, and a higher quality of life. I'm pleased the way the pieces have come together.
We were talking too, you made reference to Rhode Island as really a metro state with a beautiful kind of green space around it. And I hadn't really thought about that, Jay. Kind of maybe a somewhat unique set of assets. But one of the things that we talk about a lot, and I'd like to get your comments, is do you see state leadership maybe at an all-time high with some federal support? We talk all the time, you and I talked earlier, about how does government set the stage for smart growth. Do you see state leadership, local leadership at an all-time high, and how is that supported on a federal level? And again, you're welcome to comment after as well.
Well, I think the Obama administration has been doing some interesting things to lever that partnership. The Tiger grants, for instance. I know you have one here in Providence. That is some federal money that is tied to having a comprehensive effort to try and solve, for instance, transportation and land use. There are cities around the country who are putting into place these efforts, and they're not all like Oregon, which has maybe a comprehensive statewide land use planning process. Look at Utah, which gets many of the same results, but going at it in a different form. The states are playing a larger role, and certainly the metropolitan areas around the country are the drivers. That's where the economic growth is, the population growth is, and the quality of life. And we're watching how those pieces are tied together with rural and small town. That's a very exciting development.
As it relates to Rhode Island, same thing, balance, right? Preserving space, but growing transportation infrastructure. Comment on that for us.
Yeah, well, I think one of the issues that we face as a General Assembly is that we are looking at infrastructure that is under duress. It's been underfunded. Our gas tax revenues have declined due to the erosion against inflation, and we're frankly in a position of not necessarily being able to support innovation as much as we'd like because we feel a need to fix what we've got now. And I'm wondering if we're going to see progress at the federal level on the Transportation Trust Fund, which is suffering the same issues that we're suffering here in Rhode Island.
Well, I've introduced the first gas tax increase in 22 years and am pushing to have the federal government be the partner that Rhode Island and the other 49 states deserve. But it's important, I think, for people, and what I'm excited about in terms of some of the work you're doing at the state level and regionally, is looking at the big picture, because it doesn't excite filling potholes is not going to inspire 50, 100, 200, $300 million investments. No. It's being able to tie the pieces together with transportation, with redevelopment efforts, and voters will respond. Across the country, over 3/4 of these proposals have been approved. Republican states, 6 of them, have increased the gas tax already this year. Mm-hmm. So it's not ideological. It doesn't have to be red state, blue state, but it's important to convince people that they need to be investing in their future, inspiring the other investments from the private sector, and tying the pieces together.
Well, I know that, if I may, I know I've had the opportunity to meet Bruce Starr, former state senator from Oregon, who was instrumental in doing I forget what he called it, but it was essentially a use-based transportation tax in Oregon, where it was a mileage-based as opposed to a gallons-based. How has that implementation rolled out? Has it been
I'm
well
sorry,
received?
we only got about a minute, so if you
Well,
can...
Oregon was the state that gave you the first gas tax for road construction 96 years ago. For the last 10 years, we've been involved in a project to replace it with a road user charge. We've had 2 pilot projects. We're starting a 3rd one this summer with 5,000 people. It looks very promising. States around the country are doing it. I've got some federal legislation to try and move in that direction. Ultimately, we have to replace a gas tax with a user charge to be fair and sustainable.
And I know you've been talking about that in Rhode Island. The near empty room will tell us that we've got to shift gears. I want to say it's a historic night, though, here in Rhode Island. You know, hopefully West Warwick will be 100% renewable energy after the vote today. We had an announcement on the 195 project, and of course, we had the awards tonight, and we had the wonderful congressman from Oregon coming in. I'm Peter Arpin for Renewable Now. Thanks so much for joining us on the business side of green.
Today's special coverage has been made possible by the Arpin Group. Arpin, creating customers for life. Rhode Island College, reach, inspire, and connect. WB Mason, for all of your office needs. Curdy's Furniture, and by Colonial Printing, for all of your sustainable printing needs.